Robert is no different than the police officer out there. He has all the same rights and privileges. He goes in there, he knocks on your door, and you let him in, then he can. If you don't let him in, and then he can go ahead and obtain a warrant to go ahead and get in.
But he's got to have something to get the warrant out, right?
I have a reason to get the warrant.
Has he ever got a warrant?
If he's running on the complaint, that may be enough for the judge.
Alleged complaint.
Excuse me. Let the man speak, please.
She's next, Margaret. She's next.
Go ahead, Roxanne.
I hear Mr. Silva sounding like he's going to attempt to take responsibility for something. I also hear him say, you need to talk to so-and-so. We have talked to this woman. We have talked to this man. We have talked to you. We have sent you letters. What we get is a lot of buck passing. My department can't do it. You now have to talk to community development. Community development says, I need to pass that on to my boss, who never calls back. And then it just goes around in a vicious circle. In the meantime, whatever the violations that we are attempting to clear up are just continuing to increase in the dollar value that you guys are going to pay.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, at one time we had two separate departments, community development and building inspection, and no one had to listen and talk to anybody. Now we're one department, and what I feel is more having to do with the building inspection, and I turn planning issues into planners to make a decision, because that's their expertise. It's not mine. And if you have a problem with, with the planning section, then they're the ones to go ahead and talk to. Now that we're one department, I can go ahead and talk to them a little nicer and see if they can't cooperate a little more. Well, before they can go in.
No, what I'm talking about is nobody taking responsibility. If an issue needs to be addressed, it is always my department can't deal with that, or I cannot deal with that. We need to send you on to somebody else. We go to somebody else, and they give us another list of things that they want dealt with, or procedures that they need followed, and it's a vicious circle. And there is no one who takes responsibility to see to the end result. The only end result is to give the, I guess it's buy a license for $125 so you can address the county board of supervisors. That's the end result. That was totally unacceptable.
Okay. Now that we are one happy department, then
Happy?
you have these complaints to deal with the planners, give them to me, and I will forward them on to Aruna Bass, who is the new division manager, and let them know what your complaints are. And I'll be honest with you, I've been very frustrated working with planners as well. They have all these requirements that, you need to give people a 30-day notice, a 60-day notice, and they can do this appeal, that appeal. And it takes years sometimes to go ahead and give everybody their due process. And the simplest thing that I think of, takes 6 months. And so I can understand the frustration, but they're there to go ahead and protect everybody's right, that before they okay something, everybody in the 300-foot radius has to go ahead and be notified.
That's absolute rhetoric. That has nothing to do
That's true.
with
I have 3 properties in 3 years that I've been attacked. And it's been ongoing that I've been dealing with Deborah, Gano, Mike Silva, and it's now been a year and a half, and they have not resolved my issues. And I have nothing but a whole binder full of ordinances, county ordinances that did not come into play. Even your floodplain ordinance did not come into effect until July the 16th of 1987. And they cannot go back and tell you that you need to stand by their ordinances, because in 1982, when their ordinances came into effect, everything that was legal should have been non-conforming legal status. Okay, so what they're saying is a lot of baloney.
Okay, we have a question back here.
My wife is
Okay,
Hang on, Clark. Right here. Go ahead.
Okay, I keep hearing all these dates being thrown out there. I'm not exactly sure what they're based off of, but if you start looking into the FEMA IP program, and you start looking at the first firm that was established here, it was established in 1974. That grandfather's in every building that was built here in 1974 or past that date. So I'm not quite clear where you're coming up with your dates. The other thing I have a question about, there's so many, I don't want to waste everybody's time, but it seems that there's been a recent prompt of review of Bethel Island and what's going on with our properties. And I want to know, is this a health and safety issue, and what brought this on and what brought it to your attention? Or is this just a matter of trying to create revenue to keep your jobs? I mean, if this is a stimulus package for yourselves, I don't think that we should brunt the burden. We can't afford it.
Thank you.
We're all poor people too. That's why we live out here.
When you say a building has been grandfathered in, that means just the building itself, that's what was built originally in 1948. And if you go ahead and remodel it afterwards, added on to it, then that part is no longer grandfathered in. And if you have questions about what grandfathered in, community development has a nice little pamphlet with information on there as to the steps and what can be grandfathered in. Just because the building was built in 1900 doesn't mean you can go ahead and remodel it, change it, and do everything else and say, well, that building is grandfathered in. It doesn't quite work that way. I know Deborah would be happy if you have something that you want grandfathered in, or whether it's a business or something else, go over as to what's the requirement.
That's not following FEMA's mandatory purchase flood insurance guidelines that was established, that is what the basis of the NFIP program that you call your flood management program is based off of. And if you read through the document, it clearly states 1974 is the first map. Anything prior to that map date would have to be acceptable. Now, as everybody stated, your records are very poorly kept, and so are ours. So we don't have all of the plans that are able to determine which was established before or not. You said that you could go in and look at a stud and tell me what year it was, manufactured in. I don't know if you can or not. And was there some changes to some of the fixtures or maybe a hot water heater or something? Sure, those things get changed all the time. But an actual structural portion of a building that's been there for quite some time, why is it that all of a sudden now you're out here trying to, I don't know, find fault with what we have? We've been pretty happy out here.
I don't know that we are finding fault with them. There's been a few where people have done additions in the floodplain after the house was built, after 1980, and those are the ones that I know we're going after. Now, if you say we're going after other houses that let Daniel know or let myself know, and we'll take a look at it. That's about the best I can do.
I bought my house